fun. You're going to see my arms. There we go. All right. And today you are participating in creating an identity for yourself that you're going to love, respect, and sustain, no matter which categorical situation or adversity that you're facing. Hang tight with me while I do my tech checks, and then we will go ahead and get ourselves started. I truly hope that you have watched the sessions, the other two sessions that I recorded, because the material that we are going to talk about today is, of course, going to build on the other 2 days that I have presented to you in the last 2 live sessions. Again, let me just make sure that this is running. Let me run my tech check, and then we are ready to get started. Where am I? Here we go. So as I'm waiting for my tech to warm up, I want to share with you all, it's been a morning for me. Dropped my AirPods, dog decided to lick something on somebody else's driveway and make himself sick. It's just been one of those mornings. But the only thing that kept me going was the fact that I was looking forward to showing up for you guys today. And so I hope that today you show up with me just as strong as I'm showing up for you guys, excited, ready to learn. And we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then I will be all yours. Always make sure you're hydrating. It does the brain good. All right. So again, my name is Anar. I am your friendly mindset mentor and coach, and the founder of Foster Emergence Coaching. At Foster Emergence Coaching, my daughter and I, we do life engagement, life sustainability, emotional intelligence, all of that combined in a very different way. It isn't something that everyone can make happen, but those who can learn from us can certainly transform their lives in the same way that we have. If you haven't had the chance to watch the previous 2 videos yet, I do go live every Friday at noon. And I would encourage you to go ahead and watch the previous 2 videos. So from April 7th and from April 14th, and I keep looking up because there's this huge calendar, and I like to make sure that I say the correct date, especially since I went back to 2021. The material builds on itself. The material integrates into everything that you do, and there's complexities and cross connections in every domain that I talk about. And so I highly, highly encourage you to go ahead and watch the previous 2 videos and build on that, and then come back and watch this replay. So I'm huge on making sure that there are some standards and boundaries that we all follow while I am showing up for you and you guys are showing up for yourself. So I like to call this segment, which I read every single day, I like to call this segment rules of engagement. And I say rules of engagement because we are interacting with each other. We are engaging. This isn't a one-man show. This is a partnership where I support you, I champion you in your transformation and growth. And the thing that I always like to say is, although we are all created equal in our maker's eyes, and you'll hear me say God, source, universe, I believe in all of it. You can believe in what you need to without fear of reprisal. We are all created equal in God's eyes. And although we are all created equal in God's eyes, we are still individuals, and that is molded within us through our nature and nurture. And as I've mentioned before, I will actually do a whole deep dive on nature versus nurture, excuse me, um, at a later time, because that's such a um, in-depth, heavy topic to discuss that we just don't have enough time today. For those of you that don't know me, I am of Indian origin. I was born in India and mostly raised there for my, formative childhood years. I moved to the United States when I was 12 years old and have lived here in the United States since then. And I can, my parents are wild, liberated, still pretty conservative. And so I've had to learn to be able to balance both that conservative lifestyle while learning how to um, navigate the American lifestyle. For those of you that are immigrants, you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially those that have moved here and have had to learn to adapt while keeping true to their nationality, their religious belief, their cultural expectations, all of that, right? So this is why I have created this program called A Journey to Creating Your Identity that you're going to love, respect, and sustain, because majority of us are immigrants and have had to find a way to balance both the expectations and rules of engagement of our previous culture to then the culture that we live in. And it's really interesting journey, and you can see it many different ways, but I believe that everything is a journey, and either they become my strengths or they become my opportunities for growth. And you've heard me talk about strengths and opportunities for growth. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please make sure that you go back to my first live session on April 7th so that you can really hear what my thoughts on strengths and opportunities for growth mean. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and get started. And again, if you've watched my first two videos, you know I'm going to start with the rules of engagement just as a reminder, so that we are all on the same page in terms of what I hope to receive from you, and I hope that you receive from me. So of course, rules of engagement, the very first one is being present. And that's my number one thing. Be present with whatever you're doing, no matter what. Learn how to have a good balance and be present. Invite everybody that you might think might benefit from these sessions, because the more that sharing is caring, right? I actually had a full-on conversation about sharing is caring this past weekend. Make sure to watch the live and or replay in sequence as the material that I share with you continues to build on it. I have spent 4+ decades in trial and error and perfecting things and processing them and making sure that they're sort of mine to live. So funny story I'll tell you about my coach once I'm done with this thought. And so I'm here simply to share with you how I've done this. And if it resonates with you, take it and continue to build on it. Sign up for a discovery call, sign up for one of my coaching programs, just because I know that it works. I have tried it. It's tried and true. And there's no, if you are to follow my process, you're going to get the results that you're looking for. I'm certain of that, because I was able to get results not only for myself, but for my coaching clients as well. So, when we talk about having experience and trials and errors and tribulations, we all face them. So make sure that you give yourself compassion and grace while you're doing that. Remove all distractions from your listening and viewing area. just give yourself, I'm only here for another 48 minutes. So I generally tend to, I've promised an hour and I generally tend to stick within that hour, unless there's, questions or um, any type of conversation that's happening. Having said that, remove all distractions. You deserve to sit here for the duration of this live event and simply listen and take notes if you'd like. Excuse me. Engage with feedback, comments, and questions. I love hearing from you guys. So please make sure that you're sharing your thoughts with me. Register for the remaining of the events if you haven't done so already, so that you get that ding. Make sure you put it in your calendar or however you work, so that you're continuing, because the material is going to get much more interesting and more refined and more in depth, and it's going to continue to build on it. Bring an open mind. And being open-minded is a skill that everyone must learn. We all bring a different facet from our experiences to add to the mix. Sometimes there's a language barrier, sometimes there's an understanding barrier, sometimes there's a cultural behavior, there's some sort of restraints that truly mark our thought process. And so what I would say is leave all of that behind and simply sit back and listen. And if something resonates with you, then of course take notes, implement it into your life. If it doesn't, leave it. That's okay. Let it go. It's not going to hurt you or me if you don't take something. Take notes on things that you really, really like and would like to try, and make sure that you follow through. Click on the link below in the comments section titled evaluation, as I, again, would love to hear feedback from you. I would love to hear your thoughts. If there's anything you want me to elaborate on, you want to have a private session with me, I'm open to all of that. You just want to make sure that you're getting yourself on my calendar. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. And this you're going to hear me say throughout. You must be kind and compassionate to yourself. There's no other way to do this. So please make sure that you're extending that grace and compassion to yourself. Also keep in mind that we are carving out a path for you. And this is a journey, therefore a sprint and not a marathon. We are not trying to speed up the process. Although I'm taking 4+ decades of experience and condensing it for you to already speed up the process. And I ask you to please don't try to speed it up any more than I'm already doing for you. Allow for me to set the timeline for you. I say this throughout my workshops. I say it to my coaching clients. If you're going to work with me, you're already getting a condensed flavor of the material. You don't need to speed it up more. Follow the instructions, follow the recipe. If you're going to do it, follow the instructions. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Be honest with yourself. And this is, again, such a hard pill to swallow. And I am going to briefly touch on a conversation I had with someone on Tuesday. I asked her, I said, how have you loved yourself lately? What have you done lately that shows you love yourself? And I will ask you that question every single day, every single time. And she didn't have an answer for me. And what I say to people is, you don't have to answer these questions to anyone but yourself. Unless, of course, I'm your coach, and then you have to answer it for me. But be honest with yourself. Tell yourself the truth. Go over things with brutal honesty. There is no way that you'll be able to change things if you don't see them for what they are. it's not possible for you to change anything if you're not able to see things for what they are. Therefore, please be honest with yourself. You're doing this only for yourself and no one else. And so you need to be honest with yourself. Also, be positive, be transformative, be impactful. Because when you start doing that for yourself, the ripple effect of that positive impact, transformative impact, is going to be automatic into the lives of those that you love. Attach yourself to what resonates with you and leave behind the rest. And I've said this a couple of times already. As we are all individuals with a unique set of needs and circumstances, and I honor your individuality. I honor your uniqueness, and I honor everything that you bring to our time together. So I want to start out by thanking you for being here, listening to me, and hopefully I will be able to present something that you can take away from this. And it's only that simple. So I thank you and I congratulate you for being here, and let's go ahead and get started. So the last couple of times we've talked about self-awareness, which is, I think, a pillar of your transformation. You must know who you are, what you bring to the table, what your strengths and opportunities for growth are, and then you can build on that. You can't know what you need to change you can't change if you don't know what needs to be changed, right? Or what needs to be improved on. So I talked about self-awareness. I also talked about body image, because body image has become such a huge focus in everything that we do that it has become part of our identity. What we look like, how our hair looks, how we do our makeup, what we eat, do we work out? And the body image has no longer become about being healthy, feeling great, exuding positive vibes, and it's all now become about the way we look. And while the way we look is super important, because the way we look is the way we feel, and the way we feel is the way we look, but it isn't the only thing that marks our physical identity. So again, please make sure that you go back and watch those two, because that is the foundation for what we're going to be talking about, which is acceptance and ownership of yourself. Do you now see what I'm talking about when I say the material really builds on itself? It really does build on itself, because you can't accept and own who you are and what you are if you aren't aware of it. So it's really important that you understand who you are and what you are. And that includes that self-awareness and body image, right? So in total, an identity from my perspective is made up of 8 domains, and each of those will have anywhere from 8 to 13 different zones that I really like to break it down to the granular level, so that I can then continue to build on. So the last 2, of course, had 11 zones. Today's being a lot more in depth is a 13 zoner. Of course, we only have a limited amount of time, so I may only be able to talk about a few here, and then I do a deep dive of all of it in our workshop, which I will be talking about with you guys next week. And I absolutely am super excited to bring it to you and to watch each one of you transform your life. It's going to be so impactful. I'm super excited about it. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and get started. So today's domain is acceptance and ownership of yourself. And the importance of that title is, this is the path to having empowered relationships, not only with yourself, also with your children, your spouse, your partner, your closest friends, your peers, your coworkers, anyone that you come across. It starts with you. And you knowing you is the most essential part of your entire identity. You know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and now you're going to go take it to the table. This workshop, this training, this program that I go live with, and those that will register for it, this is a fast-tracked program to your growth and feeling of fulfillment. You will start to feel the results. As long as you make that investment into yourself, you will absolutely feel the results. You will see the results, you will feel them, you will be surrounded by them. It also helps you to live a life of peace, feeling of synergy, feeling grounded, and complete transformation. When you accept and own who you are, you will become a different type of person. And that's what's essential to your identity. You will also receive this feeling that you are somebody. There have been so many times in my life, and I'm sure you can resonate, where I feel like a nobody. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like no one cared. I felt like my life meant nothing. I felt unimportant until I started to accept and own who I was. This is who I am. Let me show you what I bring to the table. And that helped me to streamline and hone in on what was for my good and what wasn't for my good. Acceptance and ownership of yourself will also boost self-confidence, and it will transform your self-worth within yourself. Acceptance and ownership leads to self-confidence. Also, I want to share something with you, and I heard this somewhere and I've shared it on my social media platforms. Self-confidence is the result of the promises that you keep to yourself. Having said that, it starts with accepting and owning who you are. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I will take myself a sip of water, and then I will talk to you about the very first zone. So the first zone in acceptance and ownership of yourself, you're gonna laugh, is celebrating yourself. When was the last time that you celebrated yourself? Now, when I say celebrating yourself, I don't mean like going out and throwing a party. That's not what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about celebration of self, it's acknowledging all the good that you do, acknowledging all the good that you are, acknowledging the positive impact of your presence. And here's how you're going to do it. You're going to start out by celebrating the small stuff. Don't worry about the big stuff. It will automatically fall in line. Let's just focus on the small stuff. Anything that you have done, even in your daily life. I woke up today, I did the laundry today, I read today, I went for a nature walk, I'm a great mom, I'm a great dad, I'm a great spouse. Anything that you have done that has positively impacted not only your life, but the life of those that are part of you. That's celebration worthy. So please make sure that you're taking time out to celebrate yourself. Stop holding yourself to other people's needs and standards. Some also call this people pleasing, but I will take it more in depth. Are you someone who holds yourself to the standards of social media, your parents, your extended family, your spouse, your friends? If you, excuse me, if you are someone who has experienced any of that, I want you to stop doing it. Now, I'm not saying dismiss your responsibilities, but if the needs and the standards exceed your ability to provide, then stop living up to them. If they're unrealistic, if you need to look like a Barbie doll, no, you don't. You need to look like yourself. If you need to cook for somebody 10 times a day, and that's not who you are, and that's not how you live your life, and it's, it exceeds your capacity, sit down and have a conversation. Don't do anything that is outside of your bandwidth and your capacity and your true self. Improve on an existing skill or find a new skill to learn that you have been wanting to for some time. It's always fun to learn something new. Do not skip on self-care, guys, especially girls and guys too, but guys don't need as much as girls do. But do not skip on self-care. Take good care of your mind, body, and soul. And please note, this is one of my rules of engagement. When I'm talking about self-care, I'm not just talking about taking good care of your hair, skin, and nails. You have to take good care of your self-care. You have to take good care of your self-care. It's your mind, body, and your heart, your soul. Make it a priority on a daily basis. Also, make time for the things that you love. If there's something you love doing, of course, not detrimental to you or your bank account or to your health or your children or your family. Sorry, guys, I have this weird burn behind my ear, and I don't remember burning my ear. Give yourself regularly scheduled mental health breaks. I'm going to tell you guys something super funny. For those of you that don't know, my daughter is 23 years old currently. She'll be 24 in a few weeks. The last 3 months, every time I call this chick, "Hi, Mom, I love you. Are you having a good day?" "Yes." "Are you having a good day?" "Yes." "Well, maybe." And then we'll continue to talk. And she'll be like, "Okay," within 3 minutes, she'll be like, "Okay, I gotta go." I'm like, "Okay, why you gotta go? Why don't you have time to talk to me?" "Oh, I'm taking a mental health day." For the last 3 months, almost every time, every other day, she's taking a mental health break. So a couple of weeks ago, I talked to her and I was like, it seems to me like if I do the math, you have been taking a lot of mental health days. And she's like, yeah, she's like, a month has 30 and 31 days. Yeah, I'm taking 32 days of mental health break every month. So mental health is an absolutely essential part of your self-care and part of your celebration. You see me come on here every Friday at noon, and I'm in a good mood, and I'm joking and I'm bubbly. And even when I'm telling you a sad story, I'm generally smiling about it. And I wasn't always the case. I didn't used to take mental health breaks until one day I was driving home, and this actually happened 2 years ago, and maybe that's why it really struck me 2.5 years ago. I was driving home the turnpike, and that's a busy industrial road. And just driving my normal speed, within speed limit, and I generally do my mental downloads, my mental freeing space. I take my mental time at that time. That day was a particularly rough day for me, not only at work, but at home. And as I was working, I was also receiving stuff from home, text messages, phone calls with everything that was going on. I've got really bad allergies too. And I was driving home and I was just driving. I was driving behind an 18-wheeler and I almost forgot to slow down. I almost forgot to balance my speed to the speed of that 18-wheel truck. And had I not caught myself, I might not have been here talking to you guys today. And from that day to today, I have made my mental health an absolute priority. In fact, it's priority number one for me at all times, no matter what. My mental health is my priority. And you can see the changes in my expression and you can hear it in my voice. And every time I think about it, I'm scared of, even now, 2.5, 3 years later, I'm scared of what could have happened had I not slowed down. And I am pleading with you to please, please make your mental health a priority and do what you need to do to make that change. Put that as number one for you guys. Make the change. So moving on from that feeling of fear and just frustration and feeling lost. The last part about celebrating yourself. Make a list and do this in your journal. Make a list of 5 things that you have done that you can give yourself credit for. And so here are some of mine, and you can use them as examples or food for thought to help you to move forward. One of the things that I've done that I give myself credit for, majority of the time when I talk to people, they don't know that I'm Indian and they expect to hear this accent from me. I'm sure I still have a very slight accent, but it's, my accent is gone. And so even when I tell people, I'm like, oh, I'm Indian. I was born in India. I grew up there. And they'll be like, are you sure? They'll be so surprised. And I am proud that I was able to integrate myself so well that although I hold true to my original identity, where I come from, that I have integrated so well into the society of the country that I currently live in. And I give myself credit for that. I'm very proud of myself for that I'm able to take on the when in Rome, walk like Romans, talk like Romans, and yet I'm an Indian. I will proudly say I'm an Indian. So I give myself credit for that. I give myself credit for raising 2 extraordinary children. I'm proud of myself. I did it by myself. Of course, my parents, were my greatest cheerleaders and my support. But when it came to a father figure, they didn't have that. It was just me. I was mom and dad. And today, my daughter is a is in a doctoral program, and my son is about to go away to university, a university that he wanted to go to. So I'm definitely proud of myself for that. I'm proud that I am able to sit here today and talk to you guys. I didn't think that this was a realistic conversation in my life. And I am proud of myself for being able to learn and grow and become this person. I am proud of my professional journey. I went from being a bedside nurse to a case manager, to a director of nursing, to an executive director of business and clinical operations. Pretty proud moment for myself. And these are just some notable things that I give myself credit for, but otherwise daily. I wake up daily and go to the gym. I eat healthy. I start my work on time. I know when to stop my work. I give myself mental health breaks. I take great care of myself. That's why I'm able to show up all happy and bubbly and cheery and just show up for you guys. So these are some examples of how I give myself credit for the things that I've done, how I celebrate myself. The next zone that we're going to talk about, and this is, again, one of my absolute favorites, okay, is make a list of standards and boundaries that you are going to live by. And again, I'm going to remind you that this material builds on itself. So go back, take a look at the 2 previous videos, and then you can, continue to watch this and we can go from there. So make a list of standards and boundaries that you are going to live by. Now, think back to the very first live video I did on self-awareness, back to day 1, video 1, and we talked about our belief systems on day 1. And the reason, if you recall, I said belief systems that are yours, not the ones that others have poured into you, but the ones that you have developed for yourself, right? Let's refer back to that and work on developing that as your core value, which is then going to help you to create a list of your standards and your boundaries. Do an in-depth analysis on your past experiences, moments of pride, moments of disappointment, any moment that was significant to you that you still remember, it's etched in your memory, and be open to continuing to build on the experiences that made you proud, that were positive in your life, and be open to transforming, to changing, to learning and growing from the experiences that you put in the category of disappointment. Focus on what you want on your future, in your future. That is where you're going. You're going to focus on where you're going, not where you came from, not where you've been. We are focusing on forward. I'm looking at you as forward, and you're looking at me as forward. So focus on what you're going to do to get to your future. Now combine all of this. Combine everything and identify characteristics that you will want to live by in the present and the future. Now, as you're thinking about what that means, I've jotted down on a note card the definition of what is a core value. So core values are defined by the Values Institute as beliefs that help people to tell the difference between what is right and what is wrong. There's a standard for what is believed to be right and what is wrong. And I'm going to talk about that more, but what is right and what is wrong for us, each one of us as individuals is defined as being based on family, peers, religion, culture, economic status, and your needs, desires, and limitations. And the reason I wanted to, and there's more I want to talk about, but the reason that I wanted to read this to you is you have to understand that what we think and feel is a combination of what we want and what we are surrounded by. For example, if you are continuously in an environment, and I'm going to refrain from using words as unhealthy, toxic, negative, bearing down. And the reason I'm going to do that is what may be toxic for me may not be toxic for you. And so again, a deep dive into that in the workshops and at a later time. But when we think about what is right and what is wrong, we understand it from two different perspectives. We understand it, one, based on our past experiences, two, what our surroundings define as right and wrong, and three, of what we feel. And so you really have to understand what each of those are and where they come from in order to then be able to combine all of that and then create something new from it. Hence, a deep dive at a later time. But I want to continue to read what's on the back. So some examples of core values is integrity, respect, responsibility, accountability, ownership, compassion, perseverance, courage, and authenticity, but are not limited to these. So I want to share my core values with you guys. And my core values are as follows: authenticity, self-love, growth, compassion, and grace. And these are my core values, not only for myself, but also for others. This is how I show up, and I hope that everyone else shows up. So moving on from there, write them down, write down your core values and keep them accessible. And then learn ways to start living up to them. And I could go on for hours about how to create those standards and how to create those values and then how to learn how to start living up to all of that. But we don't have nearly enough time. The next zone that I want to talk about, and I think this is very important in acceptance and ownership of yourself, is how are you going to remain focused in the face of adversity? What are you going to do to remain focused in the face of adversity? And here are some things that you're going to do. You're again going to make a list of 4 or 5 things that you are going to continually practice to remain focused. And the very first, anytime you face an adversity, the very first thing you need to do is figure out what is going on, both logically and emotionally. Okay, I'm just gonna fix these pages real quick. Ooh. Figure out what's going on, both logically and emotionally. Then identify how you want to be feeling. Not how you're supposed to feel, how you want to feel. Once you have figured out what you want to feel, then create an action plan of the steps that you need to take in order to get to that feeling of destination of feeling, right? Ask for help if and where you need. And during this process, make self-care, compassion, grace, and self-love a priority. You need all of this to get to where you're going. Proceed with kindness, grace, and compassion always. Make those three things your pillars. Keep in mind to remain attached to the things that are working for you and let go, release the things that are not working for you. Remain flexible in revising those things that are not working. And I truly hope that all this is making sense for you. And I'd love to get on a discovery call with you so that we can carve out a plan for you. The next zone is make a list of 5 ways that you have been unkind to yourself and make a vow to just stop being unkind to yourself. Stop being unkind to yourself. Let's just start with that. Stop being mean to yourself. Okay? The next zone I'm going to talk about, and I'm pausing because I want you to understand that it is essential to your emotional and mental and physical well-being for you to stop being mean to yourself. The next zone, and here I want you to do this because I promise you there's going to be a whole life session on just this, but counterclaim, challenge, rebuttal, however you understand it, any and all negative self-talk. You do not need to be the one to tear yourself down. I am not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. My hair looks XYZ way. I don't have the education needed. I'm just not good enough. So here, my personal example. This was quite some time ago, a few years ago. While I was still working, I was interested in a different type of job. And so I applied for it, of course, right? I applied for the job, and on paper, on resume, I was their perfect candidate. On my resume, I was their perfect candidate. So they took me through the HR screening and the first interview. And I get to the second interview and they're, grilling me like everyone does. I've done it too, right? And in that interview, what they found was, while I was great on paper, I wasn't qualified for the role that they were looking for because I did not have enough experience in the area that they needed help in. While I was very experienced and I'm a very quick learner, and I'm great at on-the-job learning, they weren't open to giving me an opportunity to learn. And in the moment, I was a little disappointed because I really wanted the job. I really wanted the job. But I didn't get it. And I didn't get it. And in that moment, I thought to myself, damn, I'm not good enough. Like, I don't have what it takes. I don't have the experience needed. Excuse me. And in that moment, I only had 2 choices. Either I could accept it and recover from it and move on because it was the job I wanted. That's what I wanted. Or I could be kind to myself and say, well, yeah, I don't have the experience that they were looking for, but that doesn't mean that I don't have experience. I have a ton of other experience. Even this coaching experience, I'm very new in comparison to a lot of people, but I guarantee you what I have is what you need. What I have, no one else has. how I do things is very different than most other people do. Now, please know I'm a no frill, no sugarcoat kind of girl. I will tell you as it is. And if that's something that works for you, again, I would love to get on a discovery call with you. But going back to negative self-talk, cut it out. You are wonderful. You are extraordinary. You have done things in your life that only you are capable of doing. Others wouldn't survive that. So celebrate yourself for the great things you've done and cut out the negative self-talk. Sure, you may not be good at riding a bike, but you may be great at swimming. You may not be a great cook, but you might be great at baking. You may be a great leader, but not a good bedside nurse. We all have our set of limitations. Embrace them, but don't put yourself down for them. We definitely do a deep dive on ways in which you can cut out the negative self-talk during workshops and coaching sessions, and we plan to address that in the upcoming workshop. The next zone that I want to go over with you is take what you have and keep building on it. And what do I mean by that? Love your current position, whatever it is. I may not have the qualifications and the education I needed to get the job that I wanted, but I'm a great leader. I'm a great trainer. I enjoy the customer service component of the work that I do. I enjoy connecting with people. Those are my strengths. So I'm going to build on that. I'm going to continue to learn new things and continue to refine the things that I have into something much better. I'm not going to worry about what I don't have. And I see so many people worry about the things that they don't have. They don't have the fancy car. They don't have the house. They don't have, their children have chosen, they may be doctors and their children decided to go into business and sales. So many different things. I'm a single mom. So I could sit here and worry about not having a companion, or I could celebrate all the things that I already have. So continue to build on the things that you already have. Some of the ways that you can do this personally and professionally, okay? Attend networking events, both personally and professionally, meet new people, learn different ways of doing things, learn ways of being able to project what you already have. Ask for positive and constructive feedback, and be okay with someone telling you something you don't like. It's okay. You're seeking feedback. How else are you supposed to learn and grow if you don't know? Ooh, I rhymed. Okay. You are asking others. The process of seeking feedback is the process of asking others about ways in which they think that you can grow. Be open to receiving that. Another way to continue to honor and build on things that you already have, things that you already are, is to make sure that you take great care of your mental and physical health on an ongoing basis. Also, make self-reflection a priority. Make it a part of your routine by journaling as often as you can. Oh, time to turn the page. Okay, we're coming up on the 1 hour, and I'm obnoxiously turning my page. Another way to continue to build on, what you already have is learn new and different ways of doing the same thing. I'm always talking to people, whether they're potential clients, potential mentors, um, or I'm learning new things. I'm always talking to people, and I feel like I'm always learning something new. So the more you network, the more you integrate, the more you get to see how different people do things, the same things that you do differently. And then you try it out. And if it works for you, you've got one more thing in your arsenal. If it doesn't, oh well, let it go. But you won't know until you try. Excuse me. And the very last thing in this zone of building on what you already have is start being self-reliant. Do things for yourself. It's great if somebody can support you, but in the event that they cannot support you, are unable to support you, then learn to do things for yourself on your own, right? The very last zone for the purpose of today is take ownership of the things that are not working in your life. Take ownership of that. And here are some ways that you can do this. Identify the things that are not working. Let's start out by identifying the things that are not working for you, whether it's in your life, in your work, kids, education, whatever it is. But identify the things that are not working out for you. Once you've done that, brace yourself. I'm about to say something really harsh. Once you identify the things that are not working for you, ask yourself this question. How have I contributed to the things that are not working for me? I told you I was going to say something. It always takes two to tango. It takes you 2 feet to learn how to walk, 2 hands, 2 people to make a relationship, a cause and effect of every action. It takes 2 to tango. So what is your contribution into the things that are not working out for you? How have you contributed to it? How are you feeling about the things that are not working out for you? And what are you going to do about it? I say that not to be condescending or facetious. I say that to ask you, if you fall, are you going to get back up? And how are you going to do it? If you fall, are you going to get back up? And how are you going to do it? Ask for help if and where needed. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, can you help me with this? But still remain self-reliant. Be open to learning how to fix the problems in your life. Don't be closed-minded. If you want to move forward, And if you want to change things and want things to go differently, you must be open to learning how to do things. And always, 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 the same thing I say before I wrap up. Make sure that you extend the same level of grace and compassion to yourself as you do to those that you love. I'm going to say it again. Make sure to extend to yourself the same level of compassion and grace as you do to those that you love. There's no other way to do this. So please make sure you're kind, compassionate, and graceful with yourself. And as I'm getting ready to wrap up, I'm going to remind you to click on the links below and to subscribe and to join my private Facebook group. Just a disclaimer, this is a private Facebook group just for women. It is a private space for women to be able to come in and chat and discuss and learn from each other. I also would love, love, love to hear feedback from you, whether it's things that I can do differently, things that you want me to add on to talk about, or even do a deep dive. Again, my name is Anar Masani. I am your friendly mindset mentor and coach and founder of Foster Emergence Coaching. I look forward to being your champion, and I look forward to seeing you all next Friday, and that is the 28th of April, 2023 at noon. And we're going to be talking about something even more exciting. We're going to build on what we've talked about so far. And I'll also be giving you details about my workshop. And I look forward to connecting with you all next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.